Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and I'd like to, in a special way, welcome all of you to this very special edition of the press briefing. And today we will be addressing a singular subject that has to do with Grand Cape County and the emerging situation. But before I go into detail, I'd like to introduce to you our team. You see here is a joint effort between the Executive Mansion, the Liberian National Police, and the Ministry of Information. On my far left is the representative, particularly the IG, Inspector General Gregory Coleman of the Liberian National Police. On my immediate left is the Minister of Information, Minister Jeremy Pia, and on my immediate right, you have the Deputy Minister of Public Affairs for the Ministry of State for Presidential Studies, and our own brother Daniel Sano of the Ministry of Information. Apologies if I missed the names and all of that. But this press briefing, as I said, is on a singular subject of the situation happening in Kinjor. The Executive Mansion is concerned about the current violent situation taking place at the Beer Mountain Mining Company and the citizens of that part of the country. So today, following the cabinet meeting, there was also earlier on a special cabinet meeting held with cabinet members and His Excellency President Joseph Iman Boakai. At the conclusion of that meeting, and due to the emerging information that His Excellency received, the Excellency set up a committee of sector ministers to immediately, along with the Liberian National Police, to follow up on the current situation as it emerged. And the sector ministers that were designated to be able to go to Kinjor and follow up with the current protest action taking place in that part of the country. The ministers' names were the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Mines and Energy, the Minister of Labor, and the head of the National Bureau of Concession, along and in close collaboration with the Inspector General of the Liberian National Police. So His Excellency is very concerned, and he's hoping at the end of the investigation, the team that was dispatched will be able to provide full information as to the details. With the details of, in terms of casualties and any other detail relating to the situation in Kinjor, the protest action, we will turn to the team, the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, particularly Minister who was recently confirmed, Jeremy Matthew Pia. Welcome, Minister.
Good evening. Recently, when we appeared for our confirmation hearing, we assured the Liberian Senate that one of the things we will do is to give information to the public in a timely manner. We also promised that we will be very truthful in our interaction with the public, so as to have the kind of integrity we should have as a government. If you have a government that is not trusted by the people, you have a problem. So it is our job to ensure that the people trust their government, and the way to do that is to be very honest and transparent in all that we do. All of you have been following the situation unfolding in Kinjor, Grand Cape County. And let me start by saying the situation there did not start with the current administration. There has been issues in Kinjor, but of recent, issues escalated. And as you may have been following on social media, there's been problem. Everyone got their own interpretation, but we chose to now give you the government side of the story. There have been protests in Kinjor. Of course, the government has security forces deployed there. The individuals who were protesting were also armed. As a result of that, whatever was happening there escalated beyond control. In the event, one citizen was killed. The exact situation concerning how that citizen got killed is still being investigated. Also, 9 officers of the Liberian National Police were injured. One of the officers, who was an ERU personnel, was injured in the head. Another officer received his injury on the leg. About 18 persons, or protesters, if you may, were arrested. It will interest you to also know that the police station, the police barrack, and the gym that is attached to the facility were all destroyed by the protesters. The technical and vocational school in the area was also completely vandalized by the protesters. As we speak currently, the situation is somehow calm, but very fluid. The Inspector General of Police is here. He could add all the information he has, but we want to assure you that the government is fully involved with what is taking place there. As the press secretary said, the president dispatched a team. You'll be wondering why those individuals, the labor ministry is associated with workforce. The Bureau of Concession, that's a concession area. So all the individuals that were named the Minister of Lands and Mines, they are people whose job, is exactly associated with what is taking place there. Our country is evolving. People complain that there's no job. I said at the confirmation hearing, when we were talking, all the big talk about tourism, I did say that tourists will not come here when they think the year of bad news. When concession areas are being attacked. And one of the things we're very concerned about is the fact that we were told that one of the individuals leading protesters against security forces is a lawmaker. We cannot run our country that way. The government would like to express regret for the death of the citizen who died. But at the same time, we must understand that all these security officers are people who also got life. They leave their wives, their children, and their family members who want to serve the state. In the event where in the discharge of their duties, they themselves are under threat, they will have to act consistent with their own regulations. But the fact that there is a death of a citizen is something that the government regrets. We also sympathize with those officers, the 9 officers who are wounded. The one that is wounded in the head, no one can say how he will end. So we have to keep our country in a way that shows to the rest of the world that we are ready for business. We cannot afford to make our country a lawless place. There are problems all over the place, different concession areas. Problems not created by this government. This government has been in power barely a month and is committed to solving some of those problems. But should we use violence as a means of solving problems that we have? We don't think so. So we wanted to make sure that away from all the different speculations on social media, we wanted you to have formal information from the government, and that's what we do. We'd like to pause here so that you can ask questions once you have. And at that point, the Inspector General of Police, who are we allowed to say something if he has, before we take your question, we assist in answering those questions, especially those that may be security related. I believe we've captured most of the points, so I won't go into the details as the situation is still emerging. But one thing we can assure the country, the entire nation, that calm and a semblance of order has been restored to the areas that we're speaking about. We have a team of officials of government from the legislature and from the executive as well that are intervening at different levels. We've moved sufficient police officers to provide the needed support and to maintain the level of calm and order that has been established there. The situation today is one that we are aggrieved of in so many regards, because when the actions that are meant to protect life and property leads to the loss of one of those that are intended to be protected, regardless of whatever the situation, it's always a sad moment. And our condolences go out to the family, and we're asking the general public, especially those in that area, to cooperate with the police and assist us in these times to be able to maintain the peace while the investigation goes on to get to the root cause and the officer involved shooting as well. The team has been dispatched to ensure that the procedures were followed to investigate the use of force continuum and to be able to come up with accurate information for the general public and to the family as well. This administration at the National Police, we will be accountable. We will be fair in our investigations. So we owe it to the general public to report truthfully. So as soon as the investigation, as per the officer involved shooting, is concluded, it will be released to the general public. However, we regret the loss of life. We sympathize with the officers who are wounded and in the hospital as well, and the other citizen as well who has a bullet wound as well in the hospital. Today, the officers exhibited maximum restraint. They utilized every last community policing technique available to them. They went into using the non-lethal weaponry until it was completely exhausted. They made frantic efforts to call on lawmakers, to call on community leaders, to ask the protesters to back up, and the situation went to where it ended as to where we are today. So the investigation is ongoing, and I would like to start here and take questions from the press.
So thank you all very much. We will take a few questions. You will call your name, your institution, and then you ask your question. Yes.
Yeah, good evening, IG Sui and the platform.
IGB Coleman.
Sorry, my apologies.
IGB Gregory.
Yeah, sorry. Well, my name is Kel.